The Bitch Wars, or Suka Wars, occurred in the Soviet Gulag and labor camp system between 1945 and 1953. In the so-called wars, the opposing sides were usually identified by a system of tattoos that were common in Soviet prisons. The Russian word suka literally translates to the word bitch, but it has a different negative connotation than it does in the English language. In the Russian criminal circles, it refers to a person from the criminal world who has made themselves a bitch by cooperating with the police or the government in any way. Within the Soviet prison system, a social hierarchy had existed since the Tsarist era. One of the most important rules was that inmates don't serve or work with the Tsarist, and later Soviet, regime. This rule covered all forms of collaboration and not just snitching. It included basic communication and even seeking emergency help from any authority figures, even factory foremen. Throughout the Second World War, Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin offered prisoners a pardon or sentence reduction when the war was over in exchange for their military service. After the war ended, most of those who had accepted the offer were taken straight back to the prisons and labor camps, but were declared Suki and ended up at the lowest end of the unofficial prisoner hierarchy. As a result, they often tried to survive by collaborating with prison officials, in return getting some of the better jobs in the prison. This led to an internal prison war between the so-called Suki and the Russian criminal underground, called thieves-in-law. Many prisoners were murdered in the so-called bitch war, but the prison authorities turned a blind eye since the prisoner deaths reduced the overall prison population.